welcome to the charitable gifting of Real Estate 101 for nonprofits. My name is Alan Biles. I'm the Vice President of the Real Agents of Change, and I'll be taking you through a series of slides that outline and explain how you, as a nonprofit, can benefit massively from donations of real estate. First, I want to give you a warning up front. You cannot unlearn the truth. That is to say, once you know this, and you see how powerful this is, we feel that you should be compelled to apply the information that you're about to receive. And if you do not, you're doing yourself as well as your donors a disservice. Now, the first question I want to ask really is, what would your nonprofit do with a donation of $550,000? It's a very important question. There's a lot of nonprofits are struggling just to stay afloat. They do fundraisers and awareness campaigns and spend a lot of time and money just to rake in a handful of dollars. But $550,000 will be transformational for most nonprofits. Why $550,000? Well, that's the average size donation when it's in the form of real estate. Last year, the average was $556,000 on average per single donation. This is the book, Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not, that Cami C.E. Baker just finished and was released last month in the month of June. And it is the workbook, the handbook from which all our teachings are basically coming from. So I highly, highly implore you to get a hold of that book and learn what's in it. This is Dr. Russell James from Texas Tech University. He's one of the foremost authorities on how nonprofits can improve their endowments through gifts of non-cash assets. And he wrote the foreword and basically, in essence, said the problem is action. People can understand the idea and nod their heads at the numbers, but then nothing. They don't act. The disease is inertia and fear. The cure, you're reading it right now, this book, in reference to Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not. So the problem is that out of all the 1.5 million nonprofits in the United States, less than 0.5% actually take real estate in the form of donations. So if you were to actually show up at one of your local nonprofits with a cash gift of $500 in one hand, the deed to a property worth $500,000 in another, it's very unlikely they would actually accept the deed to that property. They'll just take the cash and thank you for your offer. So basically, there are three ways to give real estate to a nonprofit. The first two that I'm going to explain are two ways you probably already know. There's nothing very innovative or unique about these methods. So in the first scenario, the donor can sell the property itself and then pay all the taxes, including potentially capital gains tax. In this scenario, the nonprofit will receive the least amount of the proceeds of the donation, and the donor has the least amount of the tax write-off. This is the most inefficient way and the least beneficial to all involved. It is the worst way. So in this scenario, let's say the donor has a property worth $600,000. There's a $200,000 mortgage on it, and they want to give it to their nonprofit. So they sell it. They're going to pay a ballpark of $100,000 or more in taxes just on the sale of the property. So initially, they would have had a $400,000 equity on it, which is now only $300,000 after taxes. And then once they complete the sale, they may want to actually take back $100,000 to offset the tax they just paid on that. Now you're down to $200,000 as a donation and a $200,000 write-off for the donor. This is very, very inefficient. The second way, obviously, would be for the donor to just give the property over to the nonprofit, and then the nonprofit would just take title and ownership. But then they would be required to pay off any mortgage, give cash to the donor if they were asked, or to grant proceeds to other nonprofits if they were going to share in the donation. Then the nonprofit themselves will be responsible for owning, maintenance, and upkeep for the property, and then all during the sale process of this property. And God forbid any acts of God were to occur, like a hurricane or a tornado, then the nonprofit themselves will be liable for that. That would be a great amount of risk, which take a great amount of time and money. and that's typically not going to happen for most nonprofits. Less than 0.1% will actually take a gift of real estate this way. Most nonprofits will not do this. This is the hardest way, especially for the nonprofit. The donor gets off the title easily by giving the gift, but then the nonprofit, if they do take ownership, which is very rare, will actually do all the work in liquidating the property. There are good reasons why nonprofits won't do it either. Like, first of all, there's no expertise in real estate for most nonprofits, and they don't have a team of people to deal with it. They would require capital up front to pay off mortgages, to support the property while it's being owned and held and managed. Real estate itself, the ownership of it, diverts the nonprofits from their mission. So, like, whatever they're doing while they're managing and owning and selling the real estate, they're not on their task. They're not on their mission. A lot of nonprofits have heard of or experienced bad experiences with real estate, and then there are some that will accept real estate under very limited basis, so it could have to be in a certain area. And the majority that do accept real estate as a gift have very restrictive gift acceptance policies. So you have to fit within a very, very tight hold to be able to actually get that gift received. Overall, it is simply too risky. The real reason that none of these nonprofits are taking the benefits of real estate as gifts is because you don't know about option 3. So, real quick, let's just talk about some of the nonprofits that actually do take real estate. This is the part of the vast minority of nonprofits that accept donations of real estate. So, for example, if you knew someone or you yourself wanted to donate property, Cars for Kids accepts real estate as donations. So if somebody that just wants a tax write-off, they can just give it straight to Cars for Kids, and they'll get their tax write-off, and Cars for Kids will put it to good use. But there is a third way, that if this donor wants this funding to get to you, to your nonprofit, and you don't want to deal with the property management or sale, and they don't want to deal with the property management or sale, and they want to get a handsome tax write-off, this is the way. You can utilize the Real Agents of Change, which is us and our team of experts. It's risk-free. There's no out-of-pocket expense for the nonprofit. There's no capital needed from you. We have capital available to enhance the value of the property if it needs it. There's bargain sales available. We can pay off mortgages if possible, if needed. And we can give cash back to the donor if that's something that they so desire. And the donor receives the full array of tax benefits for the donation right away. The nonprofit world receives the very maximum donation. 100% of the 1.5 million nonprofits in this country are totally eligible for this program. It's a win-win-win way. Basically, this is how it works. We have a specialized 501c3 nonprofit that is the intermediary. It's a two-step process. Now, the donor that wants to donate the property first donates the property to our specialized nonprofit with agreements up front. They sign the contracts and the net valuation sheet up front that says this property is being gifted on behalf of your nonprofit. Our specialized nonprofit exists solely to receive the gifts of real estate and convert that real estate into capital for your nonprofit and other nonprofits just like yours. So our nonprofit takes on financial responsibility. They pay off mortgages. They do any renovation that's needed to increase the marketability of the property. So for you, there's no risk, no out-of-pocket expense, and no need to accept the real estate itself, just the proceeds of the sale. And this allows any nonprofit to benefit from gifts of real estate from anywhere in the country. So I want you to understand, last year $9 billion was gifted in real estate. So other nonprofits are doing this. The average donation is $550,000, as I mentioned in the beginning. It's a very, very handsome donation. 18,000 or more donations a year are happening in the form of real estate. Your donors do not know that you can benefit from this. So a lot of nonprofits will say, well, we've never been offered a gift of real estate. Well, You've probably not been asking for it either because you don't want to deal with it, because it's probably not in your acceptance policies. It could be written right in your bylaws that we don't deal with real estate. Your donors are on other donors lists, and if that nonprofit that they're also helping to serve is accepting real estate and you're not, then you're out. Now, your donors are also looking for tax deductions, and tax deductions that they can get by donating real estate to your nonprofit are way more helpful and beneficial than they could by just giving cash. So really, it's incumbent upon you to let your donors know that they can do this. There is a benefit to them for giving real estate that they cannot get with cash. Your donors are eager to leave legacy. These types of donations are, like I said, transformational and make a huge impact on the community. They're also looking to plan out their planned giving, and real estate is a great ticket for that. Basically, the donations of real estate come in for your nonprofit. We do the rest. Simply, the only job for you as a nonprofit, once you really fully understand the process of how this works and how beneficial it is for you, is to get the word out, to let your donors know. You put it on your website, put it in your social media, include it in your emails, include it in your newsletters. If you're doing a fundraising campaign or an awareness campaign, it should go in all your marketing, your banners, or your any type of print that's going out there that your donors are going to read. You should let them know we can accept donations of real estate from anywhere. So you could be in Florida and the property could be in upstate New York. And that's going to create a whole nother layer of headache to even deal with that. Allow our specialized team of real estate experts, our specialized nonprofit, to handle that for you. Any size, our nonprofit has the funding available to pay off, large value real estate assets, and any type. It can be commercial, it can be residential, it can be raw land, as long as it's not a timeshare. If it has marketability, if it's marketable and has equity, it's a donation. So you can create funding right now and funding for later this year with charitable real estate. You can create a pipeline of funding for generations to come with this. As soon as you start putting it out there and donations come in, one donation, and then you put out a press release, you talk about it, you highlight that someone donated property to your organization, there's going to be another donor that's going to come forward just based on that. The numbers work out that way, that you probably have a donor on your donor list who would eagerly give property right now. These are some examples that we like to highlight that are recent. This is a $15 million multifaceted gift of real estate in Illinois. This is the sale of a golf club in Illinois for $15 million. This is a $1.7 million real estate sale to fund the MLK Community Center endowment. So these are not properties that are abandoned, trouble, condemned, some gas station that's been run down in the middle of Route 66. This is a $7.5 million piece of real estate that's right now in the market in California. These are actual donations of real estate that are in the process right now. And then this is the big one. This was a $129 million gift to one organization, the Arizona Community Foundation. Through all this was through a real estate package at one time. So you might recognize some of these logos and some of these charities. Fidelity Charitable is the largest nonprofit in the country. They leverage our specialized nonprofit to accept the funding from donations of real estate. All these nonprofits right here are benefiting from the gifts of real estate. These are some more universities that benefit from real estate right now through our specialized nonprofit. So hopefully, in a nutshell, you're asking yourself, all right, well, what's next? Well, first of all, don't waste time, because these donations are coming in all the time. And then if one of your donors happen to be donating real estate to a nonprofit they know accepts real estate and you're not accepting it, well, you're out. Do your research. www.therock.com. We like to call it The Rock. It's THERAOC.com/documents. Here you can find a list of documents that outline the process. So a lot of times we hear, hey, do you have something we can take to the board? Right here is the answer to that. Number 3, communication is key. We want to communicate with you. We know this is the beginning of a relationship building. Please reach out to us if you have more questions. Cami C.E. Baker, she's the president. My name is Alan Biles. I'm the vice president. Here's our contact information. We really want to hear from you. We really want to know if you have questions, please feel free to call us, text us, email us. The 4th step is just take the funding. These gifts could come in without you even knowing about it. If the donor knew the process, they could initiate the process without even you being a part of it. The completion of the sale could happen and the grant would come in from our specialized nonprofit to you, and if the donor wanted to remain anonymous, you would just get an anonymous grant. So that's how little you actually have to spend dealing with it. And lastly, number 5, do what you were created to do. We want you to stay on mission. Even traditional fundraising takes you off task. All the planning, the investment, the time, the manpower. While you're doing all that fundraising, you're not actually accomplishing the mission that you were created to do. With charitable gifting of real estate, being able to receive this type of funding, you don't have to actually do specific fundraisers or awareness campaigns or have a team spend time and treasure and just have, all this work to go into raising this money. You just let your donors know.